They came without warning. No message, no declaration, just fire. The Vrak Dominion, an empire of wings and arrogance, descended upon Eos 9, a thriving human colony under a pale orange sky. They came to claim it. In orbit, their fleets stretched like dark wings across the heavens. Atmospheric fighters screamed through clouds, tearing apart human transports and evacuation ships as if swatting insects. On the ground, the colony burned. Towers of glass and steel folded under plasma strikes. Cities that once echoed with laughter turned into silent, skeletal ruins. Vrek called it a cleansing operation. They said humanity's spread was an infection upon the stars. A lesser species claiming skies not their own. Their broadcasts spread across systems. Earthlings, your reach exceeds your worth. The Dominion claims your colonies. Kneel or burn beneath your own sky. When their soldiers stood atop the smoldering ruins of Eos 9, they raised their banners high, their leader spreading his razor-edged wings. "Behold," he said to the galaxy, "how fragile these humans truly are." The arrogance of the Dominion. In the weeks that followed, the Vrake basked in their triumph. They held feasts under alien suns, displaying human artifacts like trophies. Helmets, flags, and fragments of shattered hulls decorated their halls. Across galactic channels, their voices dripped with pride. The humans are silent. Their homeworld hides behind words of peace. They are nothing but traitors and talkers, afraid to bleed. Their arrogance was total. The Dominion's High Warlord even commissioned a monument on Vrakthar, a statue carved from Eos 9 stone, depicting a kneeling human offering their planet to the sky. They named it the Lesson of Weak Suns. But while the galaxy watched the Dominion celebrate, Earth said nothing. No transmissions, no military movements, only silence. The Vrak mistook that silence for surrender. But those who knew humans, those who had fought beside them, knew better. The silence wasn't surrender. It was preparation. The silence before the storm. It began with the quiet withdrawal of civilian ships from trade routes. Then, merchant convoys stopped responding to Vrak patrols. Then came the blackout. Entire sectors of space went dark, their communication networks silent. Within that darkness, fleets began to move. Old shipyards on Luna roared back to life. The orbital dry docks of Titan bled light into the void. Earth's defense network, long thought dormant, was suddenly humming with encrypted activity. And then, the Terran Vanguard was reactivated. Admiral Rana Velikov, the woman who had once commanded during the siege of Europa, stood before the Unified Earth Council and spoke only 7 words. "They took our skies. We take theirs." Across every human world, conscription orders flashed. Dreadnoughts, once museum pieces of past wars, were reforged with new armor and experimental drives. Orbital stations turned into mobile command fortresses. The old flag of Earth, blue, white, and unbroken, was raised once more. The silence ended, and when it did, the galaxy trembled. When Earth spoke, the first Vrek fleet to vanish was stationed in the Helion corridor. No distress calls. No survivors, just gone. Then came the images. Transmissions leaked through broken channels. Massive human ships, black as night and silent as ghosts, cutting through Vrak formations like blades through mist. The Dominion dismissed it as propaganda, until a second fleet vanished. Then a third. Then the message came. Every Dominion channel flickered. Every planet, every station, every command ship, all received the same transmission. A single human voice, calm, measured, icy. "This is Earth Command. You claimed our skies. Now you will learn what it means to fall beneath them." Seconds later, thousands of human ships decloaked across Dominion-held space. Their hulls bore no markings, only the faint blue shimmer of energy fields. They didn't broadcast identification codes or negotiation offers. They simply advanced. The war began not with a battle, but with a massacre. The walls that bled fire, in orbit of Vrekthar, the Dominion's homeworld, the skies darkened, not from clouds, but from shadows. Human dreadnoughts, city-sized vessels forged in silence, arrived in formation. The lead ship, UES Retribution, fired once. A single shot. The beam split the atmosphere. The capital's defense grid melted. Orbital platforms turned to slag. For the first time in history, Vrekthar's skies were filled not with the wings of its people, but with the burning wreckage of their fleets. And above it all, humanity's armada descended. Each fleet carried names carved in pain. Eos's Vow, Avenger of Nine, Memorial Dawn, ships named after the fallen colony. Ships forged from vengeance. Every strike was precise. Every target deliberate. Human AIs mapped Dominion command networks, striking their hubs simultaneously across 37 systems. Entire sectors fell in hours. Worlds burned silently under surgical bombardments. No pleas were answered. No surrenders accepted. The Dominion's fall, the Vrake fleets, once proud and vast, broke like waves against an unmovable shore. They threw everything. Fighters, cruisers, even suicide wings. But the human ships didn't falter. They absorbed the blows, countered with swarms of drones and railfire that split continents. In the Battle of Ulshar Belt, over 200 Vrake vessels engaged a single human strike group. The engagement lasted 23 minutes. When it ended, none of the Vrake ships remained. Their last transmission was a terrified whisper. They do not fight for conquest. They fight for memory. By the time the Dominion's War Council convened, it was already too late. Their supply lines were ash, their colonies cut off, their fleets annihilated. And then, humanity unleashed the Valkyries. Orbital drop troops, enhanced, silent, and merciless, fell upon Dominion strongholds like falling stars. They didn't speak. They didn't boast. They simply executed orders. Neutralize command, disable infrastructure, and erase resistance. Every world that had once displayed human artifacts as trophies was now drowned beneath the weight of human boots. The day the skies fell. When Earth's fleet reached Vrekthar, no resistance remained. Cities burned. Skies glowed with descending fire. The very air shook with sonic storms from orbital entry. Admiral Velikov gave a single command: render them grounded. Human orbital cannons opened fire, not on the cities, but on the mountain peaks from which the Vryak had evolved to rule the skies. They were a winged race, born to fly, but humanity stripped that from them. Each strike collapsed a mountain, shattered the thermals, and filled the skies with storms and smoke. The very heavens of Vrekthar became unbreathable. For the first time in their history, the Vryak could no longer take flight. The skies they claimed became their prison, the price of silence. When the war ended, the galaxy was quiet again, but this time, the silence was different. It wasn't the stillness of ignorance, it was the silence of fear. In less than 6 months, an empire that had ruled for millennia had been broken, their fleets scattered, their homeworld quarantined, their leaders executed or exiled. Humanity didn't annex their worlds. They didn't enslave or occupy, they simply left. But before they did, they carved a single message into the charred soil of the Vrake capital. Not in their own language, but in Vrake script, so all could read. We are the children of Earth. We build worlds, we lose them, and when we rise, we take back the sky. After that, the Terran fleets withdrew, vanishing into the void. No trace, no beacon, only rumors. Some said they returned to Earth, vowing never to fight again. Others whispered they waited, silent and watching, ready for the next empire arrogant enough to touch a human star. The whispered fear decades passed. The galaxy rebuilt. New empires rose, and historians began to rewrite the war, calling it the human retaliation, or the silence of the skies. But among soldiers, pilots, and commanders, the stories persisted. They said if you looked out a viewport long enough, you could sometimes see the shadow of a ship, black, silent, watching. No signal, no insignia, just presence. The Vrak, what remained of them, never flew again. Their descendants built homes underground, afraid of the open air. The word sky became sacred, spoken only in mourning. And throughout the galaxy, a single saying endured: never provoke Earth. Because everyone now knew, humans were not conquerors by nature. They were explorers, dreamers, builders. They stretched toward the stars with open hands. But take their skies, and you would see the other hand. A clenched fist of fire. Epilogue. Beneath our own skies on Earth, in the restored city of Eos rebuilt under blue daylight, a memorial stands. It's a tall, simple spire of black metal reaching toward the clouds. At its base, an inscription reads, "They thought we'd forgotten. They thought we'd bowed. But when they claimed our skies, we made them fall beneath them." Every year, on the anniversary of the fall of Eos 9, the fleets of Earth fly once more. Not in war, but in remembrance. Their engines roar through the heavens, echoing like thunder across the planet. And somewhere in the stars, among the broken remains of the Dominion, the echo still lingers, a reminder carved in fire, silence, and awe. Humanity does not start wars, but we end them.